President Emeritus Corporate Council on Africa, Stephen Hayes, joins us now for more on this. Thank you for joining us on TVC News at 7. And I mean, the death of Colin Powell is hitting people in different ways. The man, the name, the legacy. What would you say Colin Powell would be remembered for?
Well, I think in terms of U.S. Africa, I think he was perhaps the greatest Secretary of State that we've had, and he's going to be missed tremendously. A lot of the strategy that President Bush developed, and I still think that was probably the most progressive policies towards Africa, were developed by Colin Powell as well, and I think that is just a huge loss. I think he's also going to be remembered especially for being a kind and wise man that was committed to building bridges. I was able to talk to him on different occasions, and I found him to be extremely genuine. I think one of the high points was in 2003, we had the first U.S.-Africa summit in which 17 African leaders attended, which was the highest amount of African leaders ever to be in the U.S. in Washington at one time at that. And Colin Powell, as well as President Bush, addressed him, and it meant a great deal to both Africa, but it meant a great deal to the United States and Africa together.
Indeed, very amazing words, tributes have been pouring out for the late statesman. But one memory that lingers in the minds of people is the Iraq War and the significant role that Colin Powell played in that event. It's an incident that he himself regrets. How do you think Americans and the world are actually reacting to his role in the Iraq War?
Well, he rightly noted that he was going to be remembered for at least a paragraph in news stories for his mistakes in Iraq. He recognized that was a mistake, and I think that even though it was a great mistake, it was a human error of judgment, and he has acknowledged that. And I think that's going to be the unfortunate part of his legacy, but I think it's far more important, or just as important, I should say, to remember the greatness. I don't think we've had a Secretary of State like him since. And I think we could use the United States could use a Secretary of State who could build bridges right now. He was a great man.
All right, and we know that he earns the Presidential Medal of Freedom twice. I mean, that's quite laudable. And then at some point, he actually had to break with his party, the Conservatives now, to the Republicans actually, rather, to endorse Barack Obama back in 2008. So how do you think Republicans view him in the light of all of this event?
Well, I think that it's going to be two different views within the political realm of the Republican Party. Certainly, the people represented or close to George Bush are going to remember him with great fondness. I think the ultra-conservatives, I would call them ultra-conservatives as opposed to conservatism, but are going to have more negative thoughts, but hopefully even then, and there should show a degree of kindness in remembering what a great man he was. I think he would be very uncomfortable. Became very uncomfortable within the Republican Party as it's structured now, and who can blame him from my point of view. All
right, but then first African-American Secretary of State, that one very huge legacy that is actually laid, and a number of people have been talking about how that has impacted them, how it's influenced them to actually become better in their various fields. President Emeritus Corporate Council on Africa, Stephen Hayes, thank you very much for joining us on TVC News at 7.
Thanks for the opportunity.